get you in. And I'm shooting shit like Scorsese. Get you whacked, ain't nobody made me. I'm the godfather of this shit, godfather. And you ain't gon' sell me like a bitch. Godfather. Coleon. Shoot. Like Scorsese. Ain't nobody made me. I ain't no bitch.
Guys, welcome back to Championship Rounds. Of course, it's your boy Marcel Pierre. As always, I have the pleasure of being joined by the homie, the brother from another, talking about the host of Do You Hear Me over on Overall99 Media. I'm talking about Uniqo Williams. Uniqo, thank you for joining me. Go ahead, bro.
Hey, not a problem. It is my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. It was such a surprise and also an honor. So shout out to Tuesdays, man. Thanks for having me on, brother. Love the show.
Thank you, sir. Love yours as well. And if you haven't had the opportunity to check out Do You Hear Me, make sure you do so. Again, over on Overall99 Entertainment. You know, it's a unique take on a variety, you know, of a more diversified palette than what you're going to get here on Championship Rounds, delivered in only a way that the homie Uniqo can do so. So, yeah, go check that out if you haven't. And, guys, as always, like, share, comment, subscribe. Appreciate all the support and help. But today I come here on a bit of a somber note because a young man, along with doctors and medical staff, are fighting for that man's life. And I'm talking about Damar Hamlin, 24 years old, drafted in round 6 in 2021, just his second year in the NFL. Yeah, he took a hit on Monday Night Football, the Buffalo Bills versus the Cincinnati Bengals, a premier game with high stakes. The play looked like it was just a random, your everyday tackle, your every down. Didn't look malicious. Turns out it was. And Damar Hamlin collapsed on the field in what they were calling cardiac arrest. And I'm definitely not going to play the clip here because that's going around enough. What I will say is that they took him off the field after quite some time and let everybody know that although there was a pulse, Hamlin could not breathe on his own. Now, I was watching the game on Monday, and I do bets, and I was watching it with a buddy, and he was telling me what people were saying on Twitter, and this is pretty heavy. I had to hang up with him and take a moment. So, Joe, you're my guest. I give it to you. I just want to know what your initial reaction to this terrifying situation we have on our hands.
So first I was sitting there thinking like, just kind of set up what I was doing. I had to stay at a hotel while they fixed my water pipes and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So I'm just sitting there relaxing and I'm scrolling on Twitter. That game's going on, and then I'm looking at I was watching some basketball stuff, just flipping because hell, who has cable anymore? And so I'm just like, man, what they be doing on cable nowadays? So I'm just flipping. And I knew that game was going on. I watched a couple, and then for whatever reason I turned away. And I'm sitting, and I was like, oh, let me go check that Bengals Bills game out because again, very huge game, and nobody's in the stands. It's just the game is postponed. I was like, what the hell happened? So of course we go to the news source, we go to Twitter, and I was like, oh my God. And it just hit me so crazily because first of all, I had no idea, but I mean, they doing CPR. I'm like, this man is dead. Like, is that what happened? Did somebody die? Like, you know what I mean? That was my first thought. And I'm sitting there, I had not seen the clip, by the way. And when there's people getting carted off the field or something like that, as soon as I see that trending, because I'll never forget that boy that played for Butler and then went on to play for Gordon Hayward. Yeah. I'll never forget that. I'll also never forget Paul George and how squeamish that made me feel. So I didn't go looking for this. Not definitely, because that could be any of us, man.
Yeah.
And I think you find yourself looking like, damn, what if that was me that just collapsed? Like, what is that? What if I had just broken my leg? So I was just sad. And then when I actually found out what it was, I was very shocked that that was the issue.
Yeah, you got a very different perspective of it than I did because you got it after the fact. When you turned on the game and you're like, what's going on? Everybody's like, not there. This game just started. Like, what the heck's going on? And then you went to the news source as opposed to, watching it live. So I was going to ask you, when things got serious for you, but obviously you knew things were serious when you went to that news source and discovered, just what the heck was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to move ahead just a little bit on this topic. And, you weren't watching during this, but when Hamlin went down and when they carted him off, when they successfully were able to get him into the ambulance and successfully transport him to the medical facility, they announced that there would be a 5-minute break and then play would resume. They announced that. However, I'm sure you're privy to the knowledge that, no one moved and eventually the game was called off. But the fact that they would announce that as if things would, go on as business, knowing that now, because I don't know if you know that that they did that, but knowing that now, how do you feel about that was their initial plan?
In the moment, especially because the PA announcer doesn't go in there and say, one moment we'll get back to the game. This guy essentially just died on the field.
Yeah.
Will Warren, they don't go on the PA and say that. I don't think anybody knew that dude, his heart stopped. But I mean, I guess you could start to tell when people, I'm sure there's plenty of nurses in there and they're like, man, they're doing CPR on this guy. What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
So you would start getting that whatever it is was kind of serious. But I mean, if you're in NFL, I guess you would say try your best to just keep it going because you don't want to make everybody panic or, mess up the flow of the game. It's like, hey, another guy got carted off. But I mean, knowing what I know now, and if the league knew that, I understand why they want to just try and move on and not in a sense just overlook it. Maybe tell the teleprompter people to put up some kind of thing that says, keep him in prayer. Here's an update. He's breathing. They're working on him, and something to that effect. But I mean, their plan was to keep it moving. But if that's the case, if those players are down there, and that the players know what's going on, like your teammate is dead. No, I'm not playing that game. And everybody on that field needed to know that. If I just essentially watched my teammate, my brother, be dead for 10 minutes, that would shake the hell out of me. You think I really want to go out there and play football? No, I'm sorry. I wouldn't be able to do it. So it's kind of a scumbaggy thing at NFL to do. I understand. But if they were in touch with those players that all knew anything, they 100% back off. Have some integrity in NFL.
Man, and I think what they were doing is they were trying to get someone to call, and they were waiting for that call to where they were like, oh, well, everything's good. He's good to go. You know what I mean? And then, business as usual. But that call never came, obviously. And he's to this moment, to my knowledge, he's still in critical condition, fighting for his life. The broadcast team, because this is unprecedented, had a lot of time to fill. And they pretty much said, hey, football's not important. They handled the situation as the best way they could, in my opinion. And I believe I can speak for you. If you saw that as well, you would probably agree that they handled it the best way they could. Now, Joe, I had the pleasure of watching Do You Hear Me? And I was able to listen to your take of the Skip Bayless tweet that has blown up overnight in regards to the importance of the tragedy versus the importance of the game. And what you conveyed on your show was that Skip was asking the question, a very legitimate question. And I completely agree with what you said on the show, Joe. I'm just going to let you know that right now. I challenge you this way. Aside from it being a legitimate question asked about something that I'm sure people are going to wonder, how are they going to figure this out this late in the season, et cetera, et cetera. Personally, I believe that the outrage came because the timing of that tweet was in complete and utter distaste. And I believe, even though Skip Bayless might and I think definitely didn't intend to offend, I believe that there is a time and a place, and his tweet was just far, far too soon. But I give it back to you with that challenge, Joe. What's your reaction to the timing of said tweet?
At first, I just want to piggyback. I think ESPN did a good job, and they do what they do best is dig up your history and let us get to know you a little bit better. Sometimes for better or worse, especially when you're a quarterback, first round pick in the draft.
Yeah,
they got us in your. If you're black, they definitely got to see if you got both parents at home, so they can tell us that you don't, and make your draft stock go up. But in this case, they definitely made it let us know. But now, in regards to the tweet, we got to look at this as a sandwich, though. Like
okay.
in my opinion, the bread was when he started the sentence off by saying, man, this is a tragedy. This hurts, and it should be postponed. It inevitably will be postponed. We know that. Okay, now here's some meat. What is the NFL going to do? Like, how do you move on from this? And then the bread, but again, this is a big game that has now become irrelevant. He gave the moment its respect, I believe. And then just somewhere he did just ask a question as a sports person. I mean, I know everybody can go on the internet and people say crazy shit on the internet all the time.
Yeah.
And they bully people online. I just feel like, Skip just asked a question while everybody else was sitting there. I get it. Most people in the football and sports world were like, prayers up to the family, and they left it at that. Skip has a job to do tomorrow. And he was just kind of trying to pose the question of like, how's the NFL? Because this is somebody's 12-4. Or potentially 11-5, or
I mean, they're both fighting for first place. It's a very, very high stakes game. Go ahead.
It's a big game. If this was Colts versus, I'm trying to think of a team that even the semblance of how bad that team is. Who else? Somebody with the three. Anyway, somebody that is not relevant because the playoffs start in 2 weeks. There's championship implications and playoff implications going on just next week. And let's fast forward. I mean, what is the answer? What if this is during the Packers versus Detroit Lions game next week? Something crazy like that happened. What do you do going forward? What do you do as it what I'm saying? I get it. This is a terrible, terrible thing that happened. People have broken legs. This guy died. I understand that, but I just really think that he just was, just tweeting. This is terrible. What does the league do about this? Because they sure are about to let them play. So they're 100%. About to let them play. So so I'm sure that's what the NFL was thinking, and I think that Skip was keeping it. I say in regards to the sport, it was 30%, and then I even say in regards to the sport, he was 10% wondering about the game, and then 90%, I think he was truly hurt and in shock about that. He followed up with another tweet simply just talking about that young man. So
why wasn't that his first tweet though? You know what I mean? Why wasn't that his first tweet? You know what I mean? Because I believe that he delivered that at a time where nobody really, I say nobody, not the proverbial nobody, because I'm sure there's some people out there that, didn't really care as much as you or I, care about the situation. But the lion's share of America, everyone in the know of this situation didn't want to hear about football at that moment. we still have no updates, no positive updates to go by. People are emotional. Strangers are watching this emotional. People close, of course, are emotional. It's a very, very tragic incident. People on social media reporting that this young man gave his life on the field, and it's what I thought happened as well. And again, he's still fighting for his life. Like, the last thing anybody wants to hear about is the game at this point, because it's stopped being a game. Now, I also watched Stephen A. Smith, and I wanted to ask you, Joe, about how people are always criticizing player pay. And, you get paid millions of dollars to play a game, this and that. Well, Stephen A. Smith did a great job of conveying fast mortality versus slow mortality. And Monday night, we got a heavy dose of fast mortality, where we could see just how delicate life truly is, how short life truly potentially can be, versus a player that is beating down his mind and his body and his being throughout a career in the league. And we don't see that decline in front of us, because when they're done, they're gone and forgotten about. Yeah, we remember him on the field. We remember what he did. Who cares about what he's doing today? Who gives a damn about what he's doing today? We don't see how broken these men are. But when we see something play out on the field right there in front of our face, it really puts things in perspective for me. And
I agree.
And I wanted you just to get your take on the player pay debate, and people saying players get paid too much to do this or get paid too much to do that. What are your thoughts on that, Uniqo?
First of all, I want to say spot on in that last segment. You're right. The timing was off, and I don't think that should have been in the same tweet. They could have definitely been separate tweets about that if that's what you're going to do. But I agree wholeheartedly. In regards to that, everybody's under the assumption that they're going to live until they're 90. Isn't that how most people just wake up? Everybody believes that they're going to make it to be 90 to 100 years old.
Yeah.
But and for people to say things like that, they imagine like, oh, he gets paid this much money to catch a football. He's going to be rich for the rest of his life. What if the rest of his life is tomorrow? Like, that could have been Hamlin's, that could have been his reality. That slow decline aspect of things, that's true too. Brian played with pads on, probably since I was like 24 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But I played for long enough. Man, my shoulder is sticking out of my arm, or my, you know what I'm saying? It gets cold and things hurt that I didn't know hurt. And that's not due to old age. That's because we didn't properly take care of the ankle when I rolled it a million times, or, things like that. Now imagine being, a 230-pound guy that's getting smacked up by 300-pound guys at least 3 times through Monday through Friday, and then for 60 minutes for 17 weeks. Spot on, Stephen A. Spot on. There is a difference between those things, because life can be gone, or like Shannon Sharp said, he got 2 hips and they're not the ones he was born with.
Man. So
hips of all things, man. You know how often we use those?
Too often.
He doesn't.
Go ahead.
He doesn't have his. The ones that God gave him.
Well, he's fortunate enough to afford the best hips replacement surgery money can buy, I'm sure. But you're absolutely right.
You got the secure 12s.
You're absolutely right. Shannon Sharp is a player, who's been able to stay very relevant. He do very well with his money, and obviously be very, very profitable to this day. Not a lot of them are as successful or are as smart with their money. But I transition into the next topic here, and that's the Bengals, head coach. This did occur in his city. It went down in Cincinnati. He definitely showed empathy for the situation, emotion. He was seen giving Coach McDermott a hug, the Bills coach, sharing some words with him. He went to the hospital even after Hamlin was transported, instead of going home to his family or being with his team to check on Hamlin's well-being. Just a class act, and I just wanted to know if you had any words to how he handled it.
Man, agreed. He handled that beautifully. I mean, you don't know what you would do in that moment, even as the opposing coach. You don't know what you would do in that moment, and also it's a moment no one's ever been in. And
Right.
for him to just think on the fly like that, maybe he was talking to the staff, like, but I'm like, that was just some quick thinking, man. That was just some quick thinking, and I'm sure he did it wholeheartedly, not to just put on some show either. I think he's just a good man.
Yeah, it came off as 100% genuine to me as well. Uniqo, I transition now to definitely not the elephant in the room, the mouse in the room at the moment, if you will, but the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals are one day what it's appearing going to be expected to suit up and compete against each other once again, all things withstanding. When that's going to be, it has not been announced. As a player, how do you prepare yourself to compete in a game that I'm sure will leave a lot of those players emotionally distraught?
Big game for the Bills. You know what you got to do. I got to do it. I got to do it for my boy. We got to win
Yeah.
this game. Um, and if you're Cincinnati, you got to understand that you about to get their best, man. And hell, that might even soften the team up, man. Like, I don't know if I can come out there and be like, man, let's go out there and kick their ass. I can't even I can't even fathom like mustering up that kind of energy for you after I saw what you just went through, man. I can't even. Like, I don't want to talk trash if I catch a
Yeah.
ball. You know what I'm saying? None of that, man. One team is going to be up and one team is going to be down. Honestly, I think they should just give it to the Bills they should just give it to them, man, because I don't think that's going to be good for anybody. And you know how well oiled a machine is and things like that, to
Mm-hmm.
wake up one day and be like, you know what, we got to play on Wednesday. Or I had warmed up my body on Monday. I mean, I warmed up my body on Monday like I'm accustomed to doing.
Yeah.
And now I got to figure out how to get it back started. And it can throw you off. And then let's not forget, I'm probably going to have to play on Sunday too.
Well,
Now somebody's going to have a bye.
yeah.
I mean, eventually they might set it out, but at the end of the day, I just think it's a dangerous situation because you got a team that's way too high, and you're gonna have a team that's like low that probably didn't even wake up for you, man. To be honest.
And not to mention, this is because this is such a high stakes game. This is a situation that we might have to visit more than once. Might have to visit in the regular season and when these two teams potentially meet in the playoffs. Crazy happenings. Crazy happenings. Uniqo, it's been a pleasure as usual. All prayers go to the Hamlin family as we all keep you in our prayers and hope that you get a speedy recovery, because all you were trying to do was provide for your family, play the game that you love. You know, you made it to the NFL. You're living your dream. You're out there trying to get it. All love to you and your family. Speedy recovery. Joe, any final thoughts to leave us with today?
Speedy recovery, 100%. We can think about the football stuff in regards to, will he play again, that kind of stuff. We can maybe talk about that when he's ready to talk about that kind of stuff. But for now,
Yeah.
prayers up to his family, man. I hate it was unfortunate, and and even I want to give a shout out to Skip. I know he don't give a damn, but definitely I know what it's like. Not on his level, but I know what it's like to be attacked on the internet,
Yeah.
and what that can do to people, man. So hopefully he can bounce back too, or he can pull LeBron James and say I have palm trees every day. So whatever. Yeah, definitely. Most importantly, prayers up for a speedy recovery.
Well said. Well said. Before we go, you got any plugs, Uniqo?
Oh man, do you hear me with Uniqo Williams? I know I do it every Thursday, but it's a new year, new me, so we are going to try and do that show all the time whenever I get some kind of good breaking news or something, because why not? And then also, Overall 99 Media. That is the main channel for me and my squad. Shout out to the Blurred Cartel. And then UniqoWilliams.com, UNIQO Williams.com. All of those links, they lead right to me. So 100% make sure y'all like and subscribe. Twitch, all that type of stuff, man. We're having a good time just doing the things we love.
Awesome. Go check out my boy on Overall 99. And I wanted to bring something up. I know we're getting out of here. We're signing off, but every time I watch the show, you always have me in stitches when you get to the Bartholomew portion.
Yes, sir.
Like, oh my God.
Yes, sir.
Like, are you
Yes, sir.
legitimately on Christian Mingle under the surname Bartholomew?
Bartholomew came from from 2010, and it's just stuck with me. And like now I got this show. I'm like, here's a gimmick. Fuck it, we'll do it. I mean, forget it. Let's just go ahead and do it. End every show and say something totally ridiculous.
Well, it works. It works. It is hilarious. It is hilarious. But again, Uniqo, thanks for being on.
Yes,
guys.
sir.
Again, like, share, comment, subscribe if you like the content. And even if you don't, still like, share, comment, subscribe. And until next time, stay frosty.